sunshines! I wanted to give the first video on my YouTube channel of 2016 a special video on my favourite book series at the moment, which is A Duology by Leigh Bardugo. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right because she is one of my favourite authors. This is the Six of Crows duology. This is set in the Grisha universe from the original trilogy, which I think the first book was Shadow and Bone. Now, Shadow and Bone, that whole trilogy, I adored. I think I gave it like 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, and I just loved the whole concept of everything, the whole Grisha and the whole times it was set in. Just word vomit because it's just so good. Naturally, I felt like a really bad fangirl when I found out that there were 2 other books set in the same universe, but not necessarily with the same characters. And I was like, okay, how did I not know this? Naturally, I was like, I'm having those books. I'm having them right now. And I went into it with a little bit of, it's kind of a spin-off, isn't it? It's kind of like, they don't really work. I don't think I've ever read a spin-off in a book series, like, ever. Have to admit, I was very hesitant. I didn't think I would like it that much, and when I saw that the chapters were in different character perspectives and in the third person, I was even more like, what is going on? So when I opened the book, I saw this, and again I was like, okay, this is very different from Shadow and Bone. Very different, but I am recognising some names here. And bear in mind that I had read Shadow and Bone like when it first came out, which I don't know, was a few years back, and I had forgotten a few things, so reading this really refreshed my mind. But what I love about this book is you don't have to have read the original trilogy to understand this. It was still like, the whole world was built so beautifully, and I want to cry because it's so good. Let's start off with Six of Crows. This story follows a group of characters that are outcasts really in the city. Not really outcasts. I don't really know how to describe them other than they're like a band of thugs, and for some reason I find that really appealing. It's like, I don't know, Suicide Squad, but a lot better. Anyway, this follows Kaz and Edge. Oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna murder these names. Wyland, Jesper, Matthias and Nina. And each of them have their own interesting background story of how they came to be, and we follow them throughout this entire journey whilst also having loads of flashbacks. And I mean, normally that irritates the hell out of me, like, just stick to the main story, like, are they gonna live, are they gonna die? But as I was reading this book, I realised that I wanted to know more about both the present and their past. Like, why is Matthias grumpy and Nina, like, what's with that? Also Kaz, like, how did Kaz become this complete and total gorgeous badass? Like, how? And Inej, like, I could go on forever, and I have to refrain because I know that you guys, you don't want to hear all of that. So, in this story, Kaz gets hired by some government official, jackass, horrible person, and they have to break into this ice court, and the ice court is profoundly known to be, like, impenetrable. You cannot get through the gates, you will die, there's no hope. So Kaz gets hired to do this, and he is kind of in charge of the Crow Club, but kind of not, a bit iffy. Read it, find out. And he has to form this group, so he has some trusted people, obviously, that he knows he can take with him, but he also has to find other people to help him break into this impenetrable prison. Why do they have to break into the prison? It's because there's this guy that is selling a drug which enhances Grisha's powers but also kind of kills them at the same time, so you know, that's not good. But the guy needs to make sure, you know, that this scientist gets captured, and I don't think we know that until the very end, so spoiler alert. Even rethinking this story, I'm just like gushing over how beautiful it is. As we follow them to the ice court, they reveal some of their past. They have to break out some other guy from another prison first, which is Matthias, my gorgeous Matthias. Once inside the prison, obviously they've got to get out as well, and they find that the scientist, you know, is not who they were expecting, and, you know, they also find other things about themselves and, like, the situation they're in, and there's so many moments where I'm like, okay, this is predictable. You know exactly what's going to happen. They're going to get caught by a guard, and then they're going to have to get out, and then, you know, one of them's probably going to die. But no, what I was expecting happened, but also more happened after that. So it's like, yeah, they get captured by a guard, but then how they escape is like mind blown. Just everything about this is mind blowing. And when they get back, obviously they have to meet the government guy that hired them to do the job and do an exchange, and then that goes all wrong, and then other things happen, and leaves on a cliffhanger, and you just want to bite into this book and be like, why? Why, Bardugo? Why? Overall, as you can tell, I really, really loved Six of Crows, and I really want more. So when I found out that there was a second book that was released, I think, January of this year, I nearly collapsed. And it's Crooked Kingdom. This is where they have to deal with the fallout of what happened in the prison, and again we get more of their backstories, but this time they are in a trickier situation. One of their own has been captured and they have to get them back. Not only that, but they're basically being hunted by their entire town and their own. I think the Crow Club, which I said earlier, Kaz kind of owned, kind of didn't, turn against them. The whole of, like, the other gangs in the area turn against them. There's bombs, there's explosions, there's guns, there's Grisha powers, I just can't even begin to comprehend how amazing this book is. I just fell in love with this entire series, and it made me realise how much I want to reread the Grisha trilogy. As soon as I was reading the duology, I even, like, on the last book, because I knew it was the last book, I had to stop on, like, the last few chapters, and I just told myself, like, you know, if I don't read them, then I'll never finish the book, and it will always be something that I'll have to read. Like, I can come back to the world and, you know, be surprised, because I'll just read like a page a day, I don't know, a word a day, that'll make it last. I didn't want it to end, and when it ended, I have never been more satisfied with an ending in a book in my entire life. I am not even kidding you. You think I'm bigging this up, but that ending was incredible. So basically everything gets tied up really, really nicely, and then things that you want to happen, like the romance part of the story, they don't, you know, spoiler, but they don't just go off happily ever after. They have their own conclusions to their own stories, because the romance wasn't the focus, it was their stories. And I love that Leigh Bardugo just stuck with that, and it's left me wanting more still. It wasn't even technically a cliffhanger, but I mean, it's open, right? We can have more, right? Please give me more. Overall, I'm speechless still. I've never read anything as awesome as this book. I will never sing another book's praises like higher than this book. This is my baseline book. This is what I expect all books to be. Not that I'm putting this book up on a pedestal or anything, I just really liked it. I'm a slow reader, so this took me like 2 months just to read 2 books. Whoops. I am getting back into the swing of it. I think I've got like 10 more books to review that I've read, and I'm just so excited to share them all with you. I hope you stick around, but I wanted to share Leigh Bardugo's duology first. Expect some more book rantings and ravings and general fangirling on this channel. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you've read or want to read the duology now, please do. I recommended it to a friend like the minute I finished reading, and she took the books back home with her after she stayed here, and I was just getting like messages all the time like, oh my god, what the hell, and I'm like, yes, I know. So yeah, feel free to fangirl with me, basically. Until next week, I will catch you guys later, bromigos. Goodbye.